Yeah. Woo. Woo. Huh.
Dear beachcombers and early risers, wine tasters and music lovers, family travelers, sightseers, and selfie takers, this is your invitation. Let's Texas. To Leo, buy one, get one snacks means maximizing his savings potential. However you make money work, Wells Fargo can work with that.
What is the history of Sunfire the Golden, Aegon II's dragon? Let's take a look. Hi everyone, this is Robert. Welcome to Indie. If you like theories, background, history and lore about A Song of Ice and Fire, The Lord of the Rings and The Witcher, this is the place for you. This is another collaboration with the wonderful History of Westeros. Please do check out their podcast and YouTube channel. Oh, and obviously there might be spoilers here for House of the Dragon, depending on how much of it you've seen and how close to the books the rest of the show is. We do not know the exact year Sunfire was hatched, but it was somewhere between the late 90s and early 110s AC at Dragonstone. So either late in the reign of Old King Jaehaerys or early in the reign of Viserys I. His earliest days would have been in the care of the Dragon Keepers, receiving food and care, establishing the sort of dependence that leads to easier bonding. None of Alicent's children with King Viserys had eggs placed in their cradles, as many Targaryens do, but they had no trouble claiming dragons from those already hatched when the time came to do so. As the eldest of his four siblings, Prince Aegon would probably have been first to choose. It's not clear if the choosing occurred at Dragonstone, or if the Dragon Keepers had brought Sunfire to the Dragon Pit in King's Landing, but either way, he was claimed by and bonded with Prince Aegon the Elder, well before the year 120, and was considered to be young. For context, Prince Aemond had been considered slow to claim a dragon when he was 10 years old, so Prince Aegon probably claimed Sunfire when he was 7 or 8, which would be in the year 115 or 116. Another thing we don't know is whether Aegon himself named his dragon, because the name Sunfire is notable. Most dragons, especially those hatched and raised by the Dragon Keepers, were named after the gods of old Valyria: Valerion, Vagar, Meraxes, and so on. Sunfire, however, seems to pair with names like Dreamfire, Blackfire, and Truefire, which are undoubtedly of Westerosian origin, though perhaps then Sunfire is a translation from a High Valyrian name. Actually, if you don't mind a small digression, my working theory is that dragons are generally only named when they are bonded. So wild dragons are named by small folk and have very Westerosi and descriptive names: Cannibal, Sheepstealer, and so on. Targaryens identifying strongly with Valyrian culture named those after Valyrian gods like Caraxes, Vernax, and so on, whereas those with mixed cultural sympathies often chose more mixed names, like Sunfire. All that would explain why, for example, the Last Dragon appears not to have a name at all, being that rare combination of not bonded and not wild. Digression over. By any name, it's no surprise that Aegon chose the dragon who became known as Sunfire the God. By many accounts, Sunfire was the most beautiful dragon ever seen in the known world. His was said to be a true gold colouring, not a yellow like Cynax, and in sunlight his scales gleamed in the manner of real gold. Even his dragon was gold. Munken refers to him as, quote, this dragon of the Golden Dawn. In the year 120, Prince Aegon flew Sunfire to Laena Velarion's funeral at Driftmark, alongside his sister betrothed Helena, riding Dreamfire, a dragon as much as 90 years Sunfire's son. The funeral was a rare occasion in which a large number of adult dragons were gathered in one place, but even then Sunfire must have stood out. None of the other dragons could have shone quite so brightly as he. In the years 120 to 129, Sunfire grew rapidly, growing, we read, huge and heavy. And then, of course, the Dance of the Dragons happened. To distinguish their forces from one another, the Blacks and Greens each created a variation of the Targaryen sigil. Aegon's was the traditional three-headed dragon on black, but coloured golden, like Sunfire, instead of red. In the TV show, they also changed the black to green, but in either case, the golden dragon is... The golden colour of Sunfire was so striking that Aegon wanted it as his symbol. Aegon was eager to make his mark in the war, ready to fight his enemies on his golden dragon. Tired of the pace at which his grandfather Otto Hightower was managing events, he stripped him of rank and named Sir Criston Cole his hand of the king, setting a trap which he was hoping Rhaenyra saw. As it turned out, it was Princess Rhaenys on Melies who arrived, instead of the Black Queen herself. Though the oldest dragons are not always the largest, it is generally safe to assume age equates to size and ferocity. And in this case, the age gaps are huge. Vagar was about 180 years old when the dance began, while Melies was at least 60. Given Sunfire was at most half of Melies' age, there was probably a significant size disparity there too. In any case, the princes saw an opportunity to engage 2 versus 1 and were eager to win their first victory in the field. But the Queen Who Never Was saw a chance herself to end the war by killing Aegon, and focused her attacks on Sunfire alone rather than Vagar, engaging him at close range, perhaps in hopes that Prince Aemond would be unable to do the same without harming his brother. But Prince Aemond had no such concerns. As Melies wrapped her jaws around Sunfire's neck, Vagar slammed into them both from above, driving them all to the ground about half a league from the castle. Aemond's own ambition may have been in play, but it's possible Sunfire would have been killed if Vagar had held her. Besides which, as we've seen several times on House of the Dragon, no rider can claim complete control over their partner.
Upon opening the book, something shifted, and as she read, thoughts rearranged. Explore your story.
Oh!
Regardless of Aemond's intentions, the outcome was clear. Melies and Rhaenys were slain. while Aegon and Sunfire were left at the brink of death. Even if he managed to survive, and it seemed a doubt at the time, the Battle of Rook's Rest ensured that Sunfire the Golden was no longer the most beautiful dragon alive. One of his wings had been nearly torn from his body, while tooth, talon, and impact left many deep gashes that were sure to leave scars. Sir Criston left men to guard Sunfire while he recovered, though it seemed he would never fly again. At first, Sunfire feasted on the men slain at Rook's Rest. No mention is made of Sunfire feeding on Lilies, but that's not unlikely to have happened too, based on what happened later. The cannibal isn't the only dragon who eats other dragons, it seems. At some point thereafter, Lord Wallace Mouton of nearby Maidenpool aimed to strike a blow for his queen. He led a force to Rook's Rest and took the castle back from the Greens, defeating the garrison there after a surprise attack which saw them emerge suddenly from the misty hills. Afterwards, Lord Wallace led his bravest men to where the wounded dragon and his protectors lay. They must have believed Sunfire was vulnerable and took their chance, aiming to dub themselves Dragon Slayers. The guards were no problem for them, but they had underestimated their prey. Perhaps they should have tried sooner, when the dragon had first been harmed. Instead, Sunfire gave reminder of why a flightless dragon is still They must have harmed him, or at least scared him, as we're told he tried to fly 3 separate times, but failed each time. The Maidenpool men would have been better off if he had. Though his wing didn't function, he was quite capable of unleashing golden flames at his assailants, while his tail was able to deliver terrible lashing blows. In the end, Lord Wallace Mouton and at least 30 of his men were slain, while the rest retreated. However, when Wallace's brother Manfred cautiously approached the site, hoping to collect the bodies for burial before they rotted or were eaten, Sunfire was gone. More curiously, there were no tracks. The implication was clear. Despite failing to take off during the battle, Sunfire had managed it when the attack ceased, but he wasn't able to go as far as he wanted. Though they are mysterious creatures, we have enough examples to assume that Sunfire was trying to fly home to Dragonstone. He may have considered King's Landing and the Dragon Pit his home, but it was not where he was born, and he did not travel in that direction. Remember Balerion flying off to Valyria, where young Princess Aeria was married. According to members of House Crab and House Brune, he went east from Rook's Rest to Cracklaw Point, a remote and barely populated area filled with bogs and pine forests. Sunfire seems to have been capable of short flights only, implying he wasn't capable of crossing Blackwater Bay to Dragonstone. Hence, he instead travelled eastward, where, by simply following the coast, he was able to get closer to the island's mouth, but he remained incapable of making it across the water. Thus, it seems the dragon spent a second stint resting and recovering. Though his wing would never heal properly, like a human with a broken leg, the muscles seem to have atrophied. Sunfire therefore probably spent time relearning to fly. Living in a misty region where few people live certainly explain why there are no solid cameras of Sunfire. But given the reports from the traps and runes, clearly he wasn't completely out of sight. This is where we must consider the curious tale of Sir Byron Swan, told in Iron Blood, a knight who tried to kill a dragon in the middle of the Dance of the Dragons by repeating the legend of Serwyn of the Mirror Shield. As the name suggests, that legendary knight slew a dragon by crouching behind a very shiny shield. The dragon didn't even know he was there. The question is, which dragon did Byron Swan try to kill? Tyrion and Haldon Halfmaester argue about this in A Dance with Dragons, with Tyrion claiming it was Synax and Haldon claiming it was Vagon. Fire and Blood provides contradicting accounts as well, but one of them, Septon Eustace, names Sunfire as Swan's. Whatever the target, the sources agree that Byron Swan was less successful than his heroic predecessor. Someone survived to tell the tale, though. Perhaps his squire. If so, maybe he decided to change the dragon from Sunfire to Synax when he recounted the tale. Attempting to kill the king's dragon is treason. Attempting to kill the usurper's dragon is heroic. Anyway, perhaps this second attack, or merely the passage of time, led Sunfire to attempt the crossing back to Dragonstone. Or maybe, as others suggest, the bond with his rider was powerful enough that he sensed Aegon's great need, and this gave him the motivation necessary to return home fast. Even Septon Eustace suggests this possibility. Whatever the reason, not only did he manage the crossing, Sunfire killed and partially devoured the wild dragon known as Grey Ghost once he got there. Save those by that recurring exception, the cannibal, we have no other examples of two wild or riderless dragons fighting. Every other example of dragon versus dragon comes at the urging of their riders. What is curious is that Grey Ghost was a famously elusive dragon who kept to itself, while Sunfire had a permanently damaged wing, if not other injuries. Neither would seem to have much reason to attack the other. Perhaps the best guess is that it was about territory, but we don't know. Sunfire was surely too slow to catch any other dragon mid-air, so perhaps it was a chance encounter on the ground. As a pure guess, given his limited range, Sunfire may have claimed Grey Ghost's lair for himself, perhaps while the latter was out hunting, and then fought him for it when he returned. Regardless of the circumstances, Sunfire again took wounds, and he settled into his new hidden lair for a time without looking up and see.
Try music mode now.
However, a passing ship named Nissaria had seen their battle at the Dragon Pond, and word reached Aegon, who was on Dragonstone by then. Knowing there could be no other dragon to match Sunfire's description, and somewhat recovered from Rook's Rest himself, Aegon began to search. In this, he was fortunate. The corpse of the Grey Ghost lay where it was, and was seen by many where it lay at the base of the mountain. The Castellan of Dragonstone hadn't heard the reports of the fight, and only saw the corpse, so he assumed it had been the cannibal, and ordered the folk of the Isle to avoid the area for the time being. This enabled Aegon's search to go unnoticed. Eventually, Aegon found Sunfire's lair, and the two were reunited. Fire and Blood tells us, quote, "The burned king and the maimed dragon each found new purpose in the other." Hidden from view in an unknown lair on the eastern side of the Dragon Pond, they flew every day, recovering their health. Though neither would be as they had been before Rook's Rest, the deposed king and his dragon waited for events to play out on the mainland, while regaining what strength they could. Lord Larys Strong was able to win the loyalty of certain men in Dragonstone, and the promise, if not proof, of the king and his dragon, recovered enough to be formidable again, would have no doubt been useful leverage, especially after word spread that the Queen had lost her own dragon, Silence. When Aegon flew Sunfire into the yard in Dragonstone, hoping to make a triumphant return, Moondancer and Baelor Targaryen emerged, and the two dragons commenced another aerial duel over the yard of Dragonstone. Moondancer was younger and would have been the quicker of the two, even if Sunfire had been at full strength. The green dragon cleverly struck at Sunfire's bad wing and clawed at its back, but the golden dragon was able to blast his foe full in the face with his golden flames, blinding her. The two dragons then grappled in the air briefly, with Moondancer tearing over and over at Sunfire's neck, while he answered by tearing open her belly. Then the two slammed hard onto the stones below. On the ground, the younger dragon was helpless. This was Sunfire's third duel with another dragon, and none of his opponents, Meleys, Grey Ghost, and Moondancer, survived the encounter, which perhaps tells you how ferocious Sunfire was. We often talk of his beauty, but he was only Vhagar matched his total of other dragons slain. Sunfire clawed victory, but once more could not rise into the air. Blood seeped from his wounds in large quantities, and the king's legs had been shattered when he leapt from his saddle. Sunfire gave up trying and fed on the corpse of Moondancer, as well as sheep provided by the garrison, but otherwise didn't move from where he had fallen. When Rhaenyra fled to Dragonstone, she was captured by Aegon and his men and fed to Sunfire, making him the only dragon to eat a Targaryen that we know of. Certainly the only Targaryen queen. But this time, there was to be no recovery. Sunfire was so badly wounded he had to be encouraged to feed. He did, but soon enough his wounds festered and he lost his appetite completely. Sunfire the Golden died only days later, looking nothing like the creature once considered the most beautiful dragon ever seen in Westeros. He had been unusually large for his age, leaving us to wonder how big he might have become in the long run, whether he could have been one of the largest we've seen. Like House Targaryen itself, which had no true enemies of equal stature in the world, had they not fought themselves, it could have always been that way. Instead, the Golden Dragon was torn apart by his own men. Sunfire was Aegon's sigil, but represented all Targaryen men as it could have been. The embodiment of beauty and power, unassailable and ruthless. House Targaryen lost control over all its dragons of significance by the end of the war. Within 25 years, they were all gone, until Daenerys, of course. But even the prophesied mother of dragons couldn't match a dragon as glorious as Sunfire.
Every man is bad. Because, you know what? If the male is not adamantly agreeing that yes, all men are bad and all men should be avoided, then that makes him a bad man. Why would he want to lure you such a disgusting, slimy, smelly path? AKA down a path of male. Why would he encourage you to
So you've been hurt.
or to intertwine with a void if he was a good crazy? I mean, the Venn diagram when they post about decentering men and
Yeah, someone just got up. She's been like that for years.
it's just a circle. You are risking all future careers that you can dedicate yourself doing the only job you want, simply catering to and pleasuring men and giving men anything they want. You literally get on your knees for men and do what they tell you to. So why are you suddenly trying to appeal to women as if you don't do that? So if men are so awful, all men, by the way, why would you not dedicate your life to catering to and helping women and children? Nursing pays super well. You could become a beautician, which is almost exclusively female clients, making women feel great about themselves. You could become a therapist or a psychologist that specializes in women's health, but you don't. You actually got multiple plastic surgeries for the explicit purpose of appealing more to men so that you can perform better for them. Actions speak louder than words, lady. If you truly believe that men are our oppressors, you are working really hard to lick the boot of our oppressors. Every man is bad. Because, you know what? If the male is not adamantly agreeing that a lot of people really agree in this.
A lady has been murdered. I'm a bit shocked to hear that. I think that's completely inappropriate. I think you will regret what you just said there. Many of the points you made were grounded in her faith, but which are shared, and you may not, but respect her. I'm quite uncomfortable sitting back here.
I hear that. There are a lot of people really agree in this.
A lady has been murdered. I'm a bit shocked.
Sit. No. I said smell. Not me, the shirt. The shirt.
Do any of your kids still respect you?
Give me a second. Oh, yeah. Winnie! Front and center!
He got into a car at 86 Kia. I need a little transmission work, but otherwise okay. It drove through town to the airport. Flight 497, 8 a.m. departure.
That's in 15 minutes.
C23A. He ordered a vegetarian meal.
Okay, thank you, cutie. Now all of you, go back to your mother. No always mean no. I was at a house party yesterday and... Job, what did you get paid?
60, and I just got a raise.
Just said you didn't make the median. You're like 5,000 off. And you're 25. You know the median usually doesn't hit until like 40s. You're doing better than the median your age.
What is the average income?
The median income in the United States, I believe, $65,000.
I don't meet that, and so many more people that I've talked to don't
Well,
meet
median means not everyone. Do you know what median is? You just asked for the median.
Yeah, I asked for average.
Okay, well, median's more important. Why would you do average, which is more skewed by wealthy people? Did you choose what to study?
Yes, I got my degree in teaching, yes.
Well, that was your fault. Why are you blaming America?
Well, it's important to know that we're not paying people what they're worth, what their labor's worth.
Your job, what do you get paid?
60, and I just got a raise.
Just said you didn't make the median. You're like 5,000 off. And you're 25. You know the median usually doesn't hit until like 40.
So this dog that trained its entire life to be a service dog failed its exam after it was too emotionally attached to its favorite toy. Unfortunately, a lot of dogs like this that aren't able to fulfill their purposes are given to the shelter. The only reason to why he failed the exam in the first place. Lois, the daughter's crying.
I'm super wide awake and I want to eat something really fast.
Lois, did you hear that? Okay, guess I got this one. Papa John, I'm sorry to bother you, but my pregnant daughter asked that I bring her the worst pizza ever, and yours is that.
You think we're worse than Lunchables?
Yes.
7-Eleven?
Look, my friend, it's late. We've done our research. The sauce, the bread, the toppings, the way it's cooked, the people cooking it, the way it tastes like the box it comes in, it's really, really the worst. I mean, you even make butter dipping sauce terrible.
Well, do you want the butter sauce with the pizza or not?
Yeah, no, give me a bunch of everything. Lois?
That's what's going on up in Canada.
Contacted by the airport adjuster.
Oh, fuck off.
Well, I want that thermometer. Easy! You mind if I take this? My grandpa needs it.
Morty, your arm.
My arm?
Yeah, buddy, your arm.
What's up with my arm?
Oh, do you have the sympathidin right now?
I don't know. Maybe. Is that a problem?
How long have you had it in?
It's making this the whole thing work.
I gotta take a look at it, little guy.
Okay.
Hold still here. You got it. He said your brain without consequences? You sympathized with an explosion, you dumb piece of shit!
Oh my god, don't drink the water! I'm so gonna brush my teeth with tequila.
Mexico! Is this beach topless?
No, but my margarita's bomb. from Mexico?
Look, Janine, I can't with you anymore. It's all the time. This is the job. Please take off that silly hat.
I can't talk right now. That's not shared.
Just leaving Whole Foods, and I notice a lot of products have women-owned business labels on them. And unless I'm buying a sandwich, why would I give a shit? I feel like those companies are overestimating the reverence society has for members of the fair sex. Because we know women don't support women, and any man that's having to do the grocery shopping probably isn't too thrilled with them either. Plus, I've never bought a trail mix and thought, I hope this was made passive-aggressively by somebody who doesn't know how to parallel park. Just leaving Whole Foods, and I notice a lot of products have women-owned business labels on them. And unless I'm buying a sandwich, why would I give a shit? I feel like those companies are overestimating the reverence society has for members of the fair sex. Because we know women don't.
If reenactors can give us something like this, and I don't see why Hollywood producers with virtually everything at their disposal can. These reenactments make straight white men look absolutely badass, which is the absolute reason that Hollywood makes movies now. Yes, and this, by the way, wasn't this guy in Gladiator? Yeah, I believe he was. But, oh my god.
We're gonna have to let you go. You're fired.
Congrats on the championship, baby.
Thanks, Mom.
How was work? Never better.
Wakey, eggs and bacon.
Good morning, friends.
Rise and shine. Come on, girl.
Gotta get up and kiss the day. And let me tell you, it's going to be